Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, George.
Do not mistake today for Greek Independence Day. We know that one of us has a beautiful photo of Greece in the background.
The other
However,
of us.
however, Thano has the big A,
It's true.
and we will not be confused about what today's about.
It is
Thano?
about baseball. It's about the MLB. It's about our Angels, what we think they're going to do this year, what we think about the players, what we think about the projection of their record this year, and how well we think they progressed since the offseason.
Yes, and this year, the Sell the Team Artie podcast, we're making it, we made it to the big time. We are officially unofficially writing for a much bigger, more professional, frankly better podcast who we actually like. We don't really miss an episode uh, called Talking Halos. Talking Halos is run by uh, Jared Timms, Nate Green, and Derek Ciapala. And Jared and Nate and Derek gave us the opportunity to write a little bit about the players and publish an article on their website. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to go over the article on the site. We're going to drop a link in the video to hopefully send some traffic there, and we're gonna talk some Angels baseball. What do you say,
Yes,
Thana?
we are. Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
All right, let's do it. Let's screen share. Here we go. All right, sharing everybody's world famous screen here. Should you choose to read our article online, it is on talkinghalos.com/articles. And this is the article right here, projected 20-man, 26-man MLB roster. And we're going to dive right in because it looks like the Angels have finally set their roster in stone. So
Yes, they have.
there, there's the beautiful big A. Thanasi, you want to start off and explain the grading scales?
Yeah, absolutely. So George had a really good idea of ranking all of our players on the major league roster, similar to how prospects are ranked in the prospect ranking system. So as you can see in the article, 80 is elite MVP, top of the scale. Goes down 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, just to see the rankings of the players, what they're good at, what they need to improve at, and what obviously their overall ranking would be.
Yep. And forgive me if I'm looking to my right, audience, but we're going to go through. We graded everyone on the team. We're going to start with the starting rotation. Um, so here's our ace. Well, our ace. I don't know if we would necessarily call Jose Soriano an ace on many other teams, but I do think Jose Soriano is definitely a solid pitcher. Uh, Leads with his fastball, 65 grade fastball, and he's got a wipeout knuckle curve. That's basically his best secondary pitch. Um,
Great.
Thano, I think he throws a third pitch, and to be honest, I didn't know exactly what he throws, but I think he has a third pitch that he very
He
rarely
mixes
uses.
it up. I know yeah, like you said, the fastball sinker obviously are what his go-to pitch is. But I think you got the gist of it with Jose Soriano of what he likes to throw. Definitely the knuckle curve is one of the wipeout pitches, as we would like to say.
Yeah, he definitely has two very plus pitches. Like his sinker is one of the best in baseball. Where he needs to improve to take that next step is his command. As we wrote about here, you know, he walked 3.1 per nine. Okay. And so that needs to be better because right now he's basically sitting like I wrote, he's a number three starter. And we're hoping, Thano and I are hoping that, getting, defensive infield players like Adam Frazier, Oswald Peraza, Jaime Canelaro, that those ground balls are going to turn into outs more than they did last year because the defense is going to look a little bit better than Luis Rengifo, Kevin Newman for a month, and Yohan Moncada, although he will still be playing, but I believe he will be more of like a weapon at a batting weapon, so to speak. They'll use him for his bat more than his defense. Any chance they get, they're going to use defensive replacements for him. He's probably going to get less starts if I'm the coach, if I'm Kurt Suzuki, uh, at uh, third base when Jose Soriano's throwing, just because there's going to be so much activity. You want that middle infield defense to be really solid.
Right. Like you've been saying, Jose Soriano plays on the ground balls, which I honestly think is great because you can get a lot of quick outs, quick innings potentially. You can get through a lineup relatively quick. Don't waste all of your best pitches, and I think that's why we are honestly leaning on him to be our ace because he has the potential to not only improve as a pitcher from last year, but he has the potential to get through innings relatively quickly and keep his pitch count relatively low going into the later innings. And I think that's really important for this rotation.
Yeah, he was absolutely dominant on the road, right? He really struggled at Angel Stadium, so it's gonna be interesting to see if that is like a trend, because I don't know
Mhm.
what about his stuff doesn't play at Angel Stadium versus the road, but you can just see the difference here. He's almost 2 full points lower at home.
That is
All right,
odd.
yeah, it's very weird, but let's move on to our number two. Donna, you want to take it?
Yeah, so Yusei Kikuchi again is another very solid pitcher. He's been in the league for a while now. He was the Angels' lone All-Star representative last year. He did have a 3.3 WAR over 33 games, which is pretty good for a starting pitcher. His fastball is a 55 grade, his slider is really good at a 60 grade. And what I like about Kikuchi is he also has good stuff to get the strikeouts if need be. He doesn't get scared if there's guys on base. He honestly tends to lock in a little bit more from what I saw last year. And I think it was a great pickup in the offseason last offseason. And I think hopefully he continues that momentum and hopefully gets more wins under his belt in this season.
Yeah, and he also he walks too many guys. It's kind of funny how, it's the Angels talk about, throwing last year they talked so much about throwing strikes, right? And then, you know,
Mhm.
it felt like no one can throw strikes. And
Yep.
ironically, our two best pitchers, he had 3.7 walks per nine, right? So that's a lot, right? And
Right.
these both of these pitchers, 4.26 and
3.99.
3.99 ERA. I mean, I'm not gonna complain about that, those
Those
numbers.
are those are respectable numbers
Good
for
pitching.
top of your rotation.
You can live with the walks. Maybe Fano, maybe not the top of my
Yeah, but
tip.
the thing is,
Maybe
you
not
have to think
very
about
tippity
it.
top, right? But like two, three, four, you know?
You have to think of it from an Angels fan's perspective. That's pretty great
Yeah, this is
for
pretty
us.
good. This is pretty good for what we're used to be honest.
Exactly. That's why I said that. But
And
anyways,
and
yeah.
like Tano said, he's living up to the contract, right? He's not maybe we overpaid a little bit for Yusei Kikuchi, but all in all, this is solid. 3.3 WAR is solid. So
Mhm.
someone we would
Indeed.
love to get a 3.3 WAR from, I think, is our man Reed Detmers. And
Absolutely.
Reed threw the ball a couple nights ago, 3 innings, no runs against the Dodgers. Um, from what I saw, he was attacking the zone, Tanasi. Still threw too many pitches, but it was the Dodgers. But this is
Mhm.
really his chance, we'll call it. Like this is his chance to show he's a starting pitcher.
I agree. And we were skeptical of the moving him to relief because last season. However, I think when he was in that relief role, he really just focused on getting batters out efficiently. And there was a lot of high leverage moments last season where he came in and he would just shut guys down. I have one memory of him against the Red Sox with guys in scoring position, and he just strikes out Trevor Story with a high fastball at like 97. And again, he's got that type of stuff that gets
Yeah,
you
oh, look,
excited.
Tana, look, 11.3 strikeouts per nine. Look at
Exactly.
Kikuchi was 8.8 and Soriano's 10.4. I mean, that's great.
We can get strikeouts. That's good because again, strikeouts are the cool stat for a pitcher. But again, I think relying on the ground ball plays, the double play balls, but also I'm really just rooting for Reed Detmers this year. I liked him when we drafted him. He obviously has potential. He threw a no hitter a couple years ago, and I've got high hopes for Reed Detmers.
And we think he's an improvement over Tyler Anderson, and we're gonna leave it at that.
Yes, absolutely.
And let's carry on. Although I do think, career high 3.2 strikeouts per walk. We're hoping he found something with, trusting his stuff, attacking the zone. It's what we need him to do. Um,
Mhm.
Now we're gonna go to what we call our this is our wild card right here. I think
Yeah,
the season might ride or die on this guy right here. And it is Jack Hanowitz. Are you gonna look like the guy you look like in spring training? Or are you gonna look like the guy you look like in the regular season last year? Because if it's the regular season last year guy, I think our prediction this year is moot. I don't think it makes
right,
sense. I think we are in trouble, frankly. But saw some stuff out of pitching lab where Kahanowitz seemed to start moving to a higher release point. Okay, and that seemed to help his sinker play off his slider more and improve his command, at least from the eye test so far in spring. And it also seems like his changeup is becoming a real weapon for him. Although, we're going to be cautious here and give it a
right,
45, although that might also be generous in a way. But his changeup look I mean just the arsenal looks more developed. The four pitches look more developed than last year. It looked like he was just throwing sinker sinker four seamer really and like occasionally a changeup.
right.
And if he threw a slider, it was basically just a throwaway.
Right. And we have talked multiple times throughout the offseason that Mike Maddox is going to be the busiest man in baseball because he's going to have a lot of guys that he's going to be working with. So we hope that with the addition of Coach Mike Maddox, having someone of his pedigree at the pitching coach position can really help a young pitcher like Jack Honowitz just really find his groove, like how he did in spring training, and hopefully that success carries on into the season. Because again, he's a young pitcher that we're rooting for, and you're going to see a trend here that we're rooting for all of our young pitchers because we all want them to succeed, obviously, because we want the Angels to do well. However, I do think he has really good stuff, and I think for him, it's just focus on the batter. Then don't overthink pitches. Just do what you got to do because I think sometimes he just overthought things last year and that got in his way. But hopefully this year he gets past that.
I agree. All right. Moving on to a common theme here of our trend, young pitching. This was just announced as Grayson Rodriguez went on the IL and Alek Manoah also went on the IL. And Ryan Johnson's been throwing the ball really well. Frankly, he had a what is it, a 3.05 ERA this spring, 20 innings, 6 games. And we're not picking Ryan Johnson to win Rookie of the Year. Only our hearts are. We're
Right.
actually picking Kevin McGonigal because we think he's well, that guy might have 3,000 hits if he's what we think it can be, but um, you know, but we do think Ryan Johnson. I genuinely do think Ryan Johnson has the ability to have a season like oh God, take me to 2014, last time the Angels made the playoffs. Matt Schumacher. I
He was
think
great.
this team can be in the playoffs if our number five rookie pitcher goes out and finds a way to win 10 plus games. And to do that, he's going to need a high three ERA. He's got to keep it in the threes.
Absolutely. And the thing with Ryan Johnson is when you watch him pitch either live or when you're at the game, it's just so interesting the way he delivers the baseball. And as a batter, that can't be fun to go up against a pitcher like that, where sometimes the ball comes higher, sometimes the ball comes lower, and he's just, changing the angles on you.
It's quick
And
pitching.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah, we are actually big Ryan Johnson fans, to be quite honest. We're actually pretty big fans of a lot of our farm system. Um, I don't want to say that we think this farm system is grossly undervalued by MLB, but I do think I'm saying that. I genuinely think that this farm system, and maybe it's not just the farm system, but maybe it's just the ability of the Angels to draft, has been widely criticized. But a lot of the minor leaguers we've had to draft have had to rush straight to the majors. This is the first
Exactly.
time we've seen a guy like Christian Moore go to AAA. And we saw a guy, George Clausen, go to AAA. And, you know, there's really not a whole lot of depth there, but there is some depth, to be honest, because maybe there's not depth in April or May, but
Right.
come July, August, September, you could potentially, if Tyler Brenner's throwing the ball down there well, look at moving him up. And same thing with George Clausen. And you've got Grayson Rodriguez, who's, quote, in the mix. And I don't really want to rely on Alek Manoah, full transparency, but I'd
We also
rather
have Caden Dana
you've
in the
got
back.
Caden Dana in the mix. The team's got a lot of guys, quote, in the mix who are like not lowly, they're not 40 grade. These aren't 40 grade prospects that are coming up and throwing the ball. Ryan Johnson was a 55 at one point. Tyler Brenner's a 55 right now. Caden Dana was a 55. Uh, George Clausen's a 50 grade right now. Like these are real starting pitching prospects that, uh, you know, that this team is frankly built betting their future on. And pairing Mike Maddox in the organization is important. So that's gonna be a theme of the season. If the starting pitching hits, we can win games. If they can't, we're screwed.
We're in trouble. We're in trouble.
We are we're screwed, frankly.
Yeah.
Um, all right, let's talk about the team. Let's talk about the starting lineup. Fano, go ahead.
Sure. So this is just based on the positions, not based on where they're going to be in the actual batting order. But to start off with Logan O'Hoppe, he obviously has a lot of power, had a lot of frustrating at bats last year. He did have an amazing RBI hit against the Dodgers to continue our dominance over them in the Freeway Series last year that we swept 6 games to 0. Just had to point that out there. Also, he had one of the 10 longest home runs hit last year against the A's, which was awesome to see. And when we talk about Logan O'Hoppe, he struggled mightily as a catcher in terms
Yeah,
of
we gave him a 40
framing.
grade defense.
Yeah, in terms of framing, in terms of just being comfortable behind the dish, he clearly wasn't in a good spot, and he was arguing with the manager at times, Ray Montgomery. So I'm glad Montgomery's out. And we have Kurt Suzuki, a former catcher, who can give him a little bit more direct instruction of what to do back there, and hopefully that's a great product of having Kurt Suzuki as manager is to just help Logan O'Hoppe with the day to day preparations as a catcher and help him develop defensively.
Yep, and moving on to our first baseman, Nolan, always standing, Shanuel. He notably spent the entire offseason in 2024 standing, and we think he should have stopped standing and started sitting down and eating steak dinner because our boy
Yeah.
Nolan's got a 55 hit tool. But at first base, we don't know if he's living with enough power. It really, truthfully, we've heard, coming out of spring that he's been working on uh his bat speed, which has improved from like the worst in the league by far to like I think he's still like one of the top 10 worst in the league, but it has improved. Granted, he's got a great hit tool. He's great at getting on base. He's great at situational baseball. Like like really good actually. Like a 55 hit tool for Nolan Schanuel might be a little low even. He could potentially develop into a 60 grade hit tool guy. But we want to see that power increase. We just want to see the power get to a 55, especially at first base. So 55 power in my eyes, Thano, at first base is 25 home runs.
That
I
would
don't
be
think he's going to hit 25 home runs.
that would be crazy, but yeah,
Last year, we can argue he was probably a 45 grade, but he has improved season over season. His home run totals did go up each year in college. So we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt here, dare I say. And we're going to plop him right around 18 home runs to 20 home runs. And that would be a huge, huge success if he could hold that 50 grade power for the team this year. He does play average defense at first, which is
yeah, that's
solid.
fair.
Like we can live with that. We can live with his defense. It used to be really poor. We think he's an improving player. We just think he's a good, solid player who is not Nick Kurtz, but we can't compare him to Nick Kurtz. Like we gotta
Right.
look at
And
him.
again, we mentioned it throughout not just this episode, but many other episodes. He would be in the minor leagues in the majority of other baseball teams. He wouldn't be already up with us. He would be figuring out his power in the minors. However, he's here, and we do, like you said, we do like that he puts the ball in play. We do like his hit tool. His patience at the plate is obviously much needed to get on base with the walks and the singles and taking advantage of mistake pitches. And yeah, like you said, if he gets close to 20 home runs, like if I 15 to 20 home run range would be a very solid hitting year in terms of power production for him.
I kind of disagree. I mean, I kind of think he is a major leaguer, but maybe not at first base. And
Mm.
and like if you could put him anywhere else, basically, like, but he just doesn't have the defense. I mean, he's tall, he's good at picking balls, so like let's just let him develop. Let's see what happens. He had power in college. I want to see it come to the pros. Thano, talk about Adam Frazier.
Yeah, Adam Frazier is obviously a guy that we signed, and brought into spring training, had a very solid spring, and he's just a veteran. He knows what to do. He's got decent hit power. He has a decent hit tool, not that great power, but you know what you're getting out of Adam Frazier. And, decent speed, and he's a pretty good defender. And he's a utility guy in terms of he can play multiple positions on the field. And if you think about just a quick comparison of Adam Frazier to a Luis Rengifo, we're taking Adam Frazier 10 times out of 10.
Not as sexy because you're gonna get a little less power.
Sure.
Yeah, but you're gonna get a lot more better, reliable defense.
Balls in play, moving runners over when they need that to happen. That's what I'm hoping for with him.
Okay, we're relying on him. He's the defense, essentially the face of the franchise. He's got the highest grade on our team. Zach Neto, he believes in this team. I believe in him. I think he's got a 55 hit tool. I think he's got a chance at 30 home runs at the shortstop position.
Hmm.
I think that's worthy of a 60 grade power, especially for a shortstop. Um, he underrated part of his game. He steals a lot of bags. Like I think he went
Yeah, he does.
25-25 like a couple years in a row, and like he missed some games. He might have a chance. So even though he might not necessarily be the fastest guy like a Bryce Teodosi, he's getting on base a lot and he's stealing a lot of bags.
He's got
That's
good instinct.
that's why we're giving him a 65 grade because he steals bags and he's good at that. He's got a cannon of an arm. He has a lot of defensive run saves, but he sometimes doesn't always make the plays that maybe some analytics have him as like a average defender. Some even have him as a below average defender, but he's always leading in defensive run saves. He's a lot of those because of his arm, in my eyes.
And when you watch Angel baseball games, you don't look at Zach Neto as any type of liability at the shortstop position. So that's the main takeaway for me, you know, personally.
He's our guy. We need him to play
He's a guy. And he turned a
95% of the
triple play last year.
for this team to live up to our prediction, we need him to stay healthy and we need him to put up
Absolutely.
over 5 WAR minimum. If he puts up 7 WAR, 8 WAR, we're looking good. We're looking actually potentially like a playoff team.
And
If Joey Gallo,
he's got
Mike Trout,
Zach Neto has the emotion and the mindset to really lead this team on the field, off the field, all the above. And he takes it seriously and he wants to win every game and he's competitive and everyone on the team is competitive, but I feel like he's one of the more competitive guys on the roster and it's very evident with how he plays.
he's our dude. We have one dude right now, and it's him. In fact, well, yeah, we got it. We got one dude and some guys. But all right, talking about a dare I say a liability at third base. We went from Anthony Rendon to Yohan Moncada, who is a great hitter, gets on base, hits for power, can't stay healthy, can't really play defense. I still think he's a winning piece for the team, especially because of some of our bench pieces who I feel complement him really well, helping maybe get him off the field at third base a little more and into more pinch hitting roles. Or if he's starting a game in which, maybe a fly ball pitcher, like I don't know if we want to call Yusei Kikuchi a fly ball pitcher or Reed Detmers, but, you know, maybe in a game
Sure.
like that against a bunch of lefties where they might be pulling the ball towards first base, you put him at third base, try to beef up the lineup a little bit. But definitely think he's a good piece. Uh, Josh Lowe traded Matt Moore for Josh Lowe. Josh Lowe, if we go to our baseball reference, put up 3 WAR in 2023, 3.7 WAR.
3.7.
And
Yeah.
if he can go back to being that Josh Lowe, and the Angels need a lot of ifs. And wow, Baseball Reference really slows down our zoom. But, at least there's some upside here. At least there's some upside with this team.
Yeah, and Josh Lowe, I definitely think is a better defensive left fielder than a Taylor Ward. And as you can see in our scouting grades, 50s across the board, we just think he's a major league ball player. He does everything relatively well. Like good hit tool, good power, good run, good arm, good fielding, all the above. I personally think that his hit tool might be a little higher than 50, especially with what he's been showing in spring recently.
Kind of reminds
And
me, Thon, of Nolan Shanuel. Maybe we should have given Shanuel just 50s.
I
Like,
think Noah
I feel
Shaniel
like
having
he's a
more,
55-45, maybe,
maybe, maybe. I
Like,
definitely think he has more power than Noah Shaniel. But
yeah,
that being said, we think he's just a really solid major league ball player that you can rely on a day to day basis, week to week, series to series, and that's what we need.
all right, Michael Nelson Trout, the GOAT. I'm gonna put respect on his name where there might not be respect. We're gonna give him a 55 hit tool, even though he's not hitting for average. I don't care. He's getting on base like crazy. He's taking some of the best at bats. Him and Nolan Shanuel.
Yes, he is.
Power last year, 26 home runs. I can't justify in my head giving Mike Trout below a 60 grade power tool.
He missed some games. I mean,
He's got 405 home runs and he's 34, and he's missed a ton of games this career. Like I just can't justify giving him. If you're gonna have 500 home runs in your career, I don't care who you are, you're probably getting a 60 grade power tool. I don't care how old
right.
you are. I genuinely think if he's healthy, he's playing like a stud. He's potentially our second 60. If he has one of those, heck, he could be a 65 if he has one of those retro Mike Trout seasons, which is kind of the hope and prayer of this team getting to the playoffs is starting pitching looks good. Mike Trout, Zach Neto, Joe Adell carry this team.
No, absolutely. And, Mike Trout, he's our GOAT. We love him. And he's going to lead by example. He's going to take very patient at bats. He will not swing at the first pitch ever. But he is our franchise. He's our face of our franchise for many, many years now. And we love him. We respect him. And his speed is something to monitor that everyone's been talking about this spring training, that his sprint speed to first base is in the top, whatever, what was the top 5 percentile in sprint speed. We'll take it.
He won't be stealing bases, but we really don't want him to get hurt. I think that's the big thing is bats too important. So let him play center field as long as he stays healthy. I'm happy. Joe Adell, solid dude. Uh, we're gonna run out of time in this podcast, so we might go a little quicker towards the bench. But Joe Adell is a
Sure.
solid player, turning into a leader on this team. We gave him a higher grade than we might have expected, probably because he had 36 home runs last year. Let's see.
37, I think.
Odell hit 37 home runs last
Yep.
year, so I couldn't justify giving him below 55 because he had a slow start to the year. Now, Jorge Soler, never going to help you out in the WAR category, but he looks healthy. And if he's playing DH, mostly DH, and he's hitting and we keep him off the field, he becomes a winning player.
Yeah, he had a walk off RBI game, to beat the Blue Jays early in the season last year. And I'll tell you what, the Blue Jays team went on to make the World Series. So he clearly has the clutch factor if need be, and he obviously has the power to make things happen.
I think we have some more depth to where, maybe we can move him to the bench some games, keep him healthy. I think that's going to be the real key is keeping some of these guys in our lineup healthy because we don't really have the depth in the minor leagues that we do, um, with some of our bats,
Sure,
that we do with
absolutely.
our pitching, right? So, when we're looking at the bench, we recently picked up Heimer Candelario, who's been playing really well, so far this spring. The big thing's been his injury, but Heimer Candelario is a guy who can hit 20 home runs.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we've been saying, if he can come in on certain days with certain specific matchups, or if we just want to start him outright on some days, he's capable of doing that. And definitely hope for a bounce back this year for him statistically.
Bryce Teodosia, defensive replacement outfielder, 70 run grade, 70 field, maybe even higher. One of the best defenders in baseball. Can't hit for anything. Honestly, probably generous for me to give him a 40 here. probably just because maybe he gets a few bunt singles. But
Right.
um, you know, I like him as a piece coming off the bench. Travis Darno, more of a leader at this point in his career than anything else. Oswald Peraza, definitely some upside here. Was once a top 60 prospect in all of baseball. Angels got him last year from the Yankees for international money. He's had a good spring. Show us something. This is he might be one of the keys to the team this year. If he can come and play a good second base, he actually might start over Adam Frazier. They might split time.
Potentially.
Candelario is going to be in the mix, but those three guys are kind of like the depth to the infield that we
Right.
think the team actually improved on this year, as opposed to a Kevin Newman, Luis Rengifo, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking of one more guy, but I can't.
The
Um,
thing is with Peraza, he obviously was hitting for a lot, more power in spring trading. So if he hits for power similar like how Luis Rengifo did for the Angels, but with that defense, I think that's a big, big game changer.
I agree. All right, back to the bullpen. Some flyers. We took a flyer on Jordan Romano. He had like a 8 ERA, but he still got great stuff. Um, we're gonna hope he's a turnaround project. Drew Pomeranz and Joey Lucchesi, solid lefties. Thana?
Yeah, I specifically like Drew Pomeranz, who had a really solid year last year for the Cubs, who made the playoffs, and he was a big part of that bullpen. And I think he's just one of those vets that have been there a long time, that knows how to get guys out, knows what type of pitches he wants to throw to get hitters off balance, and I think it's a great addition to the bullpen.
Yeah, I think Lucchesi and Pomeranz are kind of like reliable. And even Suter, like
Absolutely.
reliable left-handed pitchers. Maybe not high leverage. Maybe Pomeranz is the highest leverage out of all of them, even though he's not
I
really
would
high
agree.
leverage. But like, we're gonna hope that someone like Sam Bachman and Jordan Romano can do high leverage. Chase Silseth, kind of his last shot with the team. Zephyr John, kind of his last shot with. I mean, actually, he's under contract, but Walter Urena's a dude like coming. He's coming, right? He's a guy who can potentially step into the starting rotation one day. And
No,
I
yeah,
don't
absolutely.
I don't want to like kind of skip over these bullpen arms here, but like full transparency, like let's go down here because we've got just in the bullpen Kirby Yates sitting on the injured list. We've got Ben Joyce sitting on the injured list. Definitely those two I'm hoping can contribute this year. Thanasi, you love Robert Stevenson, but I've kind of given up.
You have given up on Robert Stevenson, but I think the player he was in Tampa Bay and the very, very small sample size that he showed us last year, I think that type of player with that type of stuff in the bullpen would be amazing. He is on the IL currently, but it's obviously you got to be cautious with him because of his injury history. But I would love for him to come back strong, maybe a month or two in the season and just make things happen out of the bullpen.
Okay, and let's kind of touch on this point, right? Touch on the pitching depth or what we think there might be. We've got some pitching depth even on the injured list. Nothing crazy serious here so far. Although you got to expect injuries to happen throughout the year. In the
Sure.
farm, we've got Bremner, number 2 overall pick. Uh, you know, developing, dare I say, like crazy thought process there. George
Yeah.
Clausen, AAA. Christian Moore, maybe like the one bat with Nelson Rada, who are actually potentially, has some sort of potential. One infielder, one outfielder, basically, in our farm system in terms of bats. Most of this farm you're going to look at, and you're going to see a guy like Chase Shores, relief type. They're developing as a starting pitcher, but we're realistically thinking potential higher leverage relief guy in choice Chase Shores.
Yes.
Same thing with Nate Snead. Uh, maybe with George Clausen, maybe with Tyler Bremner. Who they're, initially maybe they'll bring him up as a reliever, but probably hoping to bring him in as a starter. Someone not named here, Najee Victor, good World Baseball Classic. Uh,
Yes.
all in all, we think this team has gotten better, which is not saying a lot because they've been
Yeah.
horrible.
Absolutely.
I genuinely think this team is not just better on the big league club, but they're better in the AAA. And honestly, they suck at Double A. Well, but they're better in Low A and
Right.
probably even High A and ACL and DSL because the Angels went under slot Tyler Bremner and they took a lot of high upside high school pitching arms and They've got guys. We've mostly only talked about guys who might make an impact on the team this year. They've got a guy in Dylan Jordan who Thanasi and I are absolutely
Oh yeah.
thrilled about Dylan Jordan. Like we are really high on Dylan Jordan. I think we might have left off a Denzer Guzman at shortstop actually, who we think is looking good. Him and Dylan Jordan are playing in the showcase game for the spring breakout. Um, I'm worried. I'm worried about this prediction. I'm actually horrified if if
This is um this is optimism in its finest between George and myself.
if
But
Nate from Talking Halos watches this podcast at the end of the year and we're at 65 wins, I don't think we're going to be writing for Talking Halos next year. I think we're cooked. We're gonna have to
yeah,
go. We're gonna have to go solo. But we're hoping. We're hoping we win. We're natural optimists than Aussie and I,
yes.
and we have this team winning 83 games.
So the process here with us is that we think this team improved from 72 wins. Our big departures in free agency were obviously Kenley Jansen, Brock Burke, we traded away, and we traded away Taylor Ward. Those three guys obviously made an impact last year, but we
Maybe even
believe with
Luis
the guys.
Rengifo as another rotation
Oh,
piece,
well,
like
I
a
forget
guy
about him
in the
because
mix. But like we can live with that.
we
Tyler
can live with
Anderson gone. We can live with that.
Kyle Hendricks. We can live with that, even though he had a solid year. But we think this team, if they stay healthy, obviously that's extremely important to not just the Angels, but every single team in baseball. They can win 83 games. And again, 86 wins was the last wild card spot in the American League last year. And if we're competitive in the American League wild card, I think that would be such a huge success of a year. Also, you got to think about who the Angels will be playing most frequently. We do not think that the Astros' reign of dominance in the AL West is going to continue this year. They lost a lot of pieces, especially Framber Valdez. He's a very good pitcher.
We think the Astros took a step back. We are
Astros
not.
took a step back.
We are not scared of the Rangers and the A's. We are terrified of their lineup, but they cannot pitch.
Yeah, it's going to be hit parades every time we play the A's. It's just going to be hit. It's just going to be our lineup versus their lineup. And obviously, the Mariners are the defending American League West champions. Those are the guys that
They're the
we want.
favorites. We'll
We
admit
want
it.
to beat them. They're
We
the
want to beat
favorites.
them.
They have a great team.
We
But yeah,
really, we honestly, this a lot of this prediction comes in. If we're being truthful, Thanasi and I think we can actually win more games. Full transparency.
it's true.
We also believe that it is completely possible the team ends up in a very similar spot to last year. We actually think they improved a lot last year, but that they tailed off at the end. A lot of it because they don't have the minor league depth. But we feel that this year, we're putting a lot of faith this year in, frankly, our young arms. Jack Ahanowitz, uh, Ryan Johnson, Reed Detmers, Tyler Bremner. We think a Chase Shorts is going to see the big leagues this year. I think Denzer Guzman's going to play a role in the big leagues. I think Christian Moore and Caden Dana and George Clausen are going to see the big leagues this year.
Hopefully, yeah.
I think Nate Snead's going to see the big needs. In
Ha,
but like having these guys come up instead of, Mitch Ferris, that's going to help. Like that's going to help. Not to hate on Mitch Ferris. He's probably a really good person and honestly has some potential, but more as like I'm looking at probably more as like a starting pitcher, Mitch Ferris,
sure.
if anything, like a soft tosser. I'm looking at how are we going to win. How are we going to get into the wild card? This team needs to throw the ball hard and have high leverage relievers come in and put guys out. And we might have the
Yeah.
first time a true number one in the organization.
When he comes back, absolutely.
In the organization, if he can look like the guy he looked like in Baltimore. And I say take it as slow as you can. You've got some depth. If a guy goes down, call up Clausen, call up Dana. Let Grayson Rodriguez come back good. Let Ben Joyce come back good. Those are guys that we, you know, we really are hoping help carry this team a little bit because Tyler Anderson and Jack Honowitz last year and He wasn't ready last year. He only had two pitches. We're seeing four now, right? Like, and Kyle Henderson, that's scaring teams. These guys, Grayson Rodriguez, if he's feeling good, is not a guy you want to face. And
No,
this
absolutely.
this is why I feel we've improved. Um, and
Yeah.
how this is how we'll defend our case to Nate and probably to thousands of Angels fans out there. But we do think this team has some talent.
You know, opposite to Arte Moreno, we do care about winning. We want this team to win games. We want to be in playoff baseball at Angel Stadium, hopefully sooner rather than later. Because back when George and I were young and the Angels were a perennial powerhouse in the American League West and made the playoffs consistently, it was amazing to be a young Angels fan. And we want not just us to have that feeling back, but young Angels fans to have that feeling with hopefully this team this year,
That was beautiful.
right?
And like that, on a beautiful note, we're gonna wrap up opening day podcast. Uh, we're published. We're potentially embarrassed by this prediction, but we're potentially also geniuses. We'll see. We'll see. The
George,
metric.
who you got winning this first series against the Astros, first four games?
Um, I'm looking. It's gonna be.
A split, or hopefully
Hang
three,
on.
three
Let's
to
see.
one.
Let's see who's throwing the ball. Well, it's gonna
They
be
got Hunter Brown
Soriano,
tomorrow.
Brown, Burrows, Javier, and Ime. I can't believe I'm saying this, but like we gotta hope Kahanowitz beats Ime.
Let,
Like honestly though, like those are the types of games we need Kahanowitz to win.
yes,
Like that's
if we can go 2-2 in this 4 game,
I think we
series
no, I think
in
we need to
Houston.
start thinking bigger than that, Donna. We should try to win
Ah,
three against
right,
Houston. Like
you're right.
we gotta win. You gotta focus, in my eyes, on winning series, and you cannot get swept. Like
No,
that cannot be the rule. The rule of thumb for this team to be successful is not getting swept, not going on these long losing streaks, but winning series consistently. You don't need to sweep teams. You just need to win series consistently.
absolutely. And if we could steal 3 games in Houston to start the year, 3 or 4 potentially, I mean that'd be amazing.
And we'll see where Thanasi and I are Sunday afternoon
Yes, yes, yeah.
when this podcast gets put to the test of our starting rotation. But yeah, I mean Houston's rotation looks
Hunter
okay.
Brown's a bomb.
Hunter Brown's a baller. Mike Burrows hasn't really like thrown the ball that
I'll
much.
tell you what, I'm glad we're not facing Framber
Christian
Valdez because he
Christian
pitches
Javier
well.
took a step back last year. Imai is unproven. There's a lot of question marks in that rotation. Now we start the season off, and April's kind of a gauntlet, to be honest. Goes Houston,
Mhm.
Chicago, Seattle. Oh God. Atlanta, Cincinnati, New York, San Diego, Toronto. It's like
It's a lot of
playoff.
playoff teams from
Lost a lot of
last year.
playoff teams probably that we're starting off the season with. Basically for a month, we're playing playoff teams. And then April comes and we play Kansas City, the White Sox, the Mets, and then the White Sox again. We gotta win some games there. We gotta win some games there. Toronto, Cleveland, Dodgers. But then these are the games that are going to decide our season. The A's, the Rangers, those divisional games, right? How do we play against the A's and the Rangers? How do we play against a Tampa Bay, another team that's kind of, I don't know, in a similar spot to the Angels, right? I see a
Mhm.
lot of Tampa Bay in that May, June. I see a lot of Oakland, right? Arizona Diamondbacks. I mean, there's a
Oakland,
stretch
you mean
here.
Sacramento?
You're right. Tampa Bay, Arizona. This is in June.
They just got to win
They
games.
can win games, dude. They can beat some of these teams. They're gonna. I think if we're playing 500 ball to start the year, we're in a good spot, to be honest.
I mean, and that was the elusive number last year. We would get so close to 500, and it would be so close, and then we drop off. We do it again, and we drop off. We need him to win consistently this year.
We need Zach Neto to play every game, basically. So on that
Yeah,
note, let's go Halos. Text your
let's go ahead.
family. Tell your family you love them. We're freaking out because it's the Angels baseball, baby, and we're back. We're so stoked. But we're horrified for the season and the reality that's going to face us in June, July. And so
This is a very nervous feeling, but you know what?
I
We've
love you,
been
God
waiting.
brother, dude. I'm hoping we are playing games in September.
Oh,
I'm hoping we can watch a full season. I
absolutely.
All right. Should we wrap it
All
up?
right,
This is a
let's
long
wrap it
pod.
up. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye, George.
Good night.